Hello you guys, it's your favorite gal on the tube. My last video, you guys are making those views go up and thank you for tuning in. I'm not even gonna waste time, we're gonna get straight into it. The time I fell for my teacher. I'm looking back at this time and I'm realizing like I was very young, naive. So let's start. He was my teacher in high school, but I met him while I was still in middle school. So our middle school and our high school was on the same campus, but like the high school was on one side, the middle school was on the other. I had two older sisters going to the high school, so the reason why I met this teacher prior to me going to high school was because we went to the same church. He was our fine teacher, and he's like real life fine. It's not like, oh, he's just fine because he's a teacher. He would be fine even if it was outside of school. Like everybody had a crush on him. You know, you're young. This is like your first time you're ever feeling any type of feelings like that. And I was like, oh my God, like this man is just so beautiful. Like, we continue going to the same church. We're not really like cool at this point yet. We're just, you know, it's like, who's this little ass kid? You could only take AP classes in 10th grade. So I was in 9th grade at this time. And there was only 2 teachers that you could have for that class. So I would like talk to him and stuff and I'd be like, oh my God, like I'm gonna take your class next year. Like I hope I get you as a teacher. I don't wanna take this class and be with this lady. Like that's not why I'm taking this class. So 10th grade comes around, I get my schedule and I'm like, oh my God, like I got his class, like thank you, Jesus. So I'm in his class. We had assigned seats and like my last name is a C, so I was the desk right next to his. And I was like, gosh, this is amazing. And you know, you get to know your teacher over the year. I want to say this year he was like going through a divorce or something. And I was just like, let's talk about it. Like we can talk. But like in my head, I'm like, obviously this is gonna go nowhere because he's my teacher. I was going through a lot of stuff at home, so like school to me honestly was like my escape. There was times where like I would be so like annoyed of whatever going on. I would come in his class and like I would just kind of be more quiet. I was just like, dude, like I don't even want to talk today. And he would always notice that. He would like take me out of class, like while like we were like working on stuff. He'd be like, oh Miss Anna, can I talk to you outside? And he would like take me outside and like open the door a little and we would just talk about everything going on in my house and like why I'm like feeling down that day or whatever. So we started really chatting. Like my friends who were in that class, they're just like, what do y'all be talking about? Like what is going on? I just started like so just looking forward to his classes. I think I had him on B days. So like B days I just like was extra excited to go to school. Now I'm like, like I like him. Everything stays like professional. I think at this point he like knows his role, but I can say it definitely got flirtatious to the level of just like, should we be this flirtatious? I don't know. For example, I would be with like my best friend who was a guy. He would come up to me and be like, oh, you talking to another man? We could call him Mr. Banks. My best friend was like, what? Like that's crazy. That day he came up to me, I was like, oh, like I'm deadass's girl. I can't be out here being seen judging. That year I went through so much. I was like telling my parents, I was like, listen, like I really think I just need to transfer to school. At the end of the year I'm like getting ready, I'm like saying kind of my goodbyes, and I end up telling him like, I'm gonna be transferring. He was like, what? He was just taken aback because I think he expected that I was going to be around for the next 2 years. And I was like, I just feel like it's the best thing for me to do at this point. The last day of school, he gives me his number. We started texting and stuff, and like I was still calling him like Mr. Banks. He's like, oh, don't call me Mr. Banks, like you can call me by my first name. I'm just like, okay. So we started texting and we start like communicating outside of school. He knew a lot of things going on in my life at that point. To me, I felt like it was natural for us to continue our relationship. We just like stopped talking as much when I went to my new school. We would text here and there, but it wasn't really anything crazy. It was getting around my graduation and he starts like hitting me more. And I was like, okay, Mr. Banks. He ends up asking me out on a date. And I was like, of course I'm gonna say yes. I'm not gonna say no. He comes to pick me up in his Stingray. And I was like, I'm like, oh my God, finally. We get to go out and like be together. And so we go to Benihana. He's telling me everything now, like about his divorce. And I was like, so what made you guys divorce? Like what got you guys to that point? And he was like, basically at the end of the year, it was like a goodbye letter. He would write a letter to each and every one of us, and we would write a letter back to him. He was like, she found letters. I'm not gonna lie, you guys, everybody had a crush on him. Like we would all talk about how fine this man was. So some of the letters, I know he was not lying when he was like, they were just, some of them were just not appropriate. Like girls are making their passes at him, because my school was a little ratchet at the same time. She was like, oh, I'm gonna go and report you to the principal. This is what he's telling me. And I'm like at dinner, and I'm like I would never do that to you. He ended up getting like to take a break off of work or something, and they searched his whole classroom, they searched his house, everything like that, and they didn't find anything. Mind you, he's telling all of this to one of his former students on a date. So it's like, sir, you didn't learn your lesson. He's like, yeah, like, you know, now I'm like finally single again. And I felt really bad for him, because I knew like he wasn't gonna go and cheat on his wife or anything. Like, yeah, maybe he is just really freaking attractive, and like there's so many girls that like him, and he can't control how fine he is. But obviously now I look back and I'm like, okay, that's a little messy. We ended up continuing to talk, and like at a certain point I kind of started feeling a little bit weird about it, because I always liked him. I never in a million years thought that he would actually pursue me. So then we go out to get froyo one day. I forgot what we were talking about, but at the end of this day, for the first time ever, he like kisses me. I was like, wait, like then I'm like, oh, like he's actually like trying to like take things further with me, and it's just not really right. Like it didn't really feel that right, because I'm like, you were my teacher, you were like grading my papers, like why, like, you know. Even when I was like in high school, like I wasn't talking to him as much, and he was like, yo, like why are you not responding to me, like this is crazy. And I was like, dang, like I don't expect you to really like be going for me like that. And he was sending me videos and things that were inappropriate, and I was like, I'm gonna try to change his voice. He just entered the audio so you guys can hear it.
Off the top, I don't know what else I have to do to get your attention, man. I see you. You know that is the table, looking so good together, but we won't just get me more. And I wonder if she's ever come up to this crib. If she ever texts me back, she'll find out where I live. Maybe she just thinks I'm trying to get it in her ribs. Wipe her and just try to have some kids. But you know I'm just
Crazy, right?
Okay, listen, if you don't get at me today, like, we're through, like, for real. Listen, Maya, you know who it is. What up, boo? All you gotta do is hit me up and I will just get at you. It don't matter what we do, we could just get some food. You like that frio, me, I like that grill. Haitian, what it do? Hey, freestyling about you, you know I do not quit. Me and you, we can hit the stew and we can make a hit. Me and Maya together, you know that sounds so legit. And when I put my hand on your hip, you trip, you trip, you trip. When I put this tongue on you, you drip, you drip, you drip. Our hands together, we'll make that grip while I'm all up in it. And you will be saying, do not quit while you yelling, oh shit. Silence.
He's like sending me videos from him in class. As I get older, I look back and I realize more and more how much that was just not right. Pretty much how that story turns out. Recently, I was on Facebook and I saw that he had got fired from our school for basically having like relations with a student. And I was like, thank God I like stopped talking to him. It's crazy because at the time, like you're young, you think that like, oh, like I know what I'm doing. But now I look and I'm like, I don't think I could even date anybody who, I don't even know if I could date someone who's my same age or younger. I want to say he was probably like closer to 30, in his 30s. That's not really good for you to be like looking at a girl when she's like 14, 15 and you're already like making plans for her. We don't like that. And if you are a 14 and 15-year-old girl, once they get to being like in their 20s, like definitely I would say don't even go for it, because there's a reason why they're not being like accepted by people their age. Like there's a reason why they're going after you at your age, because you're so young that you're impressionable, and at that age you really don't know any better. It's really the people who are older who should know better. Like you're kind of just there. I would just say don't go for guys too much older than you. They're gonna have way too high of expectations, and they're looking at you in a way that you're not looking at yourself, but they're looking at you in that way, and you just never want that. It was really wrong, and I'm glad kind of that he got fired. Like I feel bad, but I definitely fell into that trap. It was just that, it was a trap. I'm not making these videos either to like expose people. That's why I'm not including anyone's like real name or anything. I feel like he's already had his punishment. I do feel like this is something that somebody could potentially avoid. So that's my story time. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Add me on Twitter. And yeah.